And I've got a microphone. And this is my Vice Chair, Councillor Gloria Johnson, and to my right is Joshua Mann, our Democratic Officer. Welcome to everyone, committee members, cabinet members, officers and other councillors who've chosen to attend. It's fantastic to see you here, particularly Fran, that you've taken a day out of your maternity leave to be with us. We really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Can you all make sure, please, that your mobile phones are switched off or turned to silent mode? We have not been notified of a fire alarm practice, but should the alarm sound, can you move swiftly to the closest exit and make your way outside to the front of this building, to the grass area on St. Peter's Hill. If you wish to ask a question during the meeting or make a comment, please can you indicate by raising your hand. This meeting will be recorded and can also be watched as a live stream or later via the SKDC webcast. The first item on our agenda today is apologies for absence. Do we have any, please, Josh?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I've received apologies from Councillor Rees-Baker. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any members here today who have an interest to declare? You can declare these during the meeting if you forget to do it at this time. No declarations, thank you. Item 3 on our agenda is the minutes of the meeting held on the 8th of April 2025. There are both public minutes and private minutes. Can I deal first with the public minutes? Is there anything that anyone wants to say about the public minutes for the 8th of April? No. Can I have a proposer to accept those minutes? Thank you, Councillor Bishnal Singh. Anyone to second those? Seconding. Thank you, Councillor Gloria Johnson. All those in favour? Thank you. That's 4. Against? Abstentions? Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4 abstentions. Thank you. We then go on to the private minutes of the 8th of April. If anybody wishes to make comment about what these contain, then we will need to go into closed session. If, however, you're happy that we move directly to the vote, I'm happy to do that. Can I have a proposer that we move to the vote for the pink minutes of the 8th of April? Thank you for proposing, Councillor Johnson. Seconding, Councillor Bishnal Singh. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Thank you. That's 4. All those against? No. And those who are abstaining, please. Thank you. That's 4 people. Thank you, Josh. And then on to item 4. This is the minutes of the meeting that was held on the 24th of April 2025. First, I'm asking about the public minutes on the white paper. Is there anyone who wishes to comment on these? Thank you. Do I have anyone to propose the minutes of the 24th of April, please? Thank you, Councillor Bishnal Singh. Could I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Baxter. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Oh, we're on 5. That's 5. All those against? All those abstaining from the vote? 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. 3 abstentions. Moving to the confidential minutes of the 24th of April. Obviously, we'll need to go into private session if anyone needs to discuss these. Do I have someone to propose that we accept the minutes of the 24th of April? Thank you, Councillor Baxter. A seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Knight. All those in favour, please raise your hand. 5. All those against? 0. All those abstaining? Thank you very much. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. That was the quick bit. Item 5 on our agenda today is the people strategy. This is going to be presented by Councillor Baxter, I believe, and the report was written by Fran Beckett. Thank you very much, Fran. When you're ready, Leader. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair and everybody. I'm pleased to present the Council's Refresh People Strategy, which builds on the strong progress we've made over the last 3 years and sets a clear direction for the continued development of our workforce. The strategy has been shaped by the voices of our colleagues and by elected members and trade union representatives, and I'd like to thank all of those people who have contributed for their insight and feedback. At its core, the People Strategy reflects our commitment to being an employer of choice, an employer that supports, develops and values its people. We know that delivering excellent services to our communities starts with having the right people in the right roles, equipped with the right skills and supported to thrive. The strategy, as you will have read, it outlines 6 key priorities, which are: number 1, workforce planning; number 2, learning and development; number 3, employee experience; number 4, equality, diversity, inclusion and belonging; number 5, well-being; and number 6, reward and recognition. Each area includes a realistic view of where we are now and a future vision that we will work collectively to achieve. Importantly, the strategy is underpinned by robust monitoring through key performance indicators and will be supported by detailed action plans and regular engagement with colleagues through our people panel, surveys and team discussions. In a time of change and increasing demand across local government, this strategy ensures that we are future ready, and I would welcome your endorsement to recommend its approval to Cabinet. The Cabinet likely to be, I think, September's Cabinet. September's Cabinet. Just add to some of the notes that someone's helpfully put together. We know that our survey of staff is tremendously successful. Karen and her team exceeded your audacious increase in the target for participation, but we've done that, and generally speaking, staff enjoy working for South Kesteven District Council. I also had the honour of being invited to address for a short time the staff awards ceremony. It's a staff event, so I was pushed on and then pulled off, and and I politely decided to leave shortly after my speech, but it was well received, and it was lovely to see so many staff talking to each other across departments, across the council, and having a good time generally. So that's really good. If I've missed anything, I'm sure that either Karen or Fran will pick up the bits that are missing. But I recommend it to you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are being asked to recommend this to Cabinet. Does anyone have any comments about the People Strategy document that you have? I have to say that when I read it, it was just like a total bundle of positivity. It was fantastic. I thought, can I have a job, please? Anyone wish to make any comments before I ask for someone to propose that we recommend this document to Cabinet? You'd like to say something? Councillor Johnson, then Councillor Vishnath Singh. Thank you.
Well, I think the biggest positive about all this is looking at all the things we're doing to make the working place really good for them. I was actually looking at this, you've even got a menopause CAF where people can meet and talk, because it's a very important time in a lady's life, and I think to be able to talk to other people in the workplace is fantastic. The biggest thing is the drop in people leaving. 17%. That is fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And I have no qualms at all about endorsing this and proposing that we take this forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Did you wish to speak, Councillor Vishnath Singh?
Probably on a similar line to what Councillor Gloria Johnson said. But one thing I say, I'm very pleased to see the positiveness and effective way in which we are running, and the staff are a lot happier. But what I would like in terms of if we can make a slightly a bit more greater effort into when we introduce changes, effectively, we've had to increase the percentages to about 60 or even 70%. But at 49% is very good.
I think there's always a challenge. Whatever you do, there will always be a challenge, won't there? Thank you. Do I have anyone at this moment who would like to propose that we recommend this? Sorry, I didn't listen. I'm sorry. Proposed by Councillor Johnson. Is there anyone who'd like to second that proposal? Councillor Bishnath Singh, thank you very much. All those in favour of recommending this strategy to the Cabinet? Thank you. That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Item 6 on our agenda today is an HR policy review. This will be presented by Councillor Baxter, and the report has been brought together again by our Head of Service, HR, Fran Beckett. Thank you.
So, thank you, Chair. This report seeks committee's approval for 5 refreshed HR human resources policies. These are the result of a review by HR and shaped by feedback from the trade unions, people panel, corporate management team and wider staff consultation. The policies are designed to be clearer, more supportive, legally compliant and easier for managers and employers to use in practice. The supportive performance improvement policy adopts a constructive and proactive approach to managing performance, encouraging early intervention and tailored support. The zero tolerance policy makes a clear statement about the council staff on bullying, harassment and sexual harassment, with new guidance and protections aligned with legal changes. The ill health capability policy now sits independently, ensuring employees who are struggling with health conditions are treated with compassion and appropriate support. The leave policy provides updated guidance on compassionate leave, carers' rights and introduces safe leave for those who are experiencing domestic abuse. Finally, the maternity policy incorporates new entitlements such as neonatal leave, as well as better support for pregnancy loss and returning to work. These updates are not just about compliance, they are about creating a workplace culture where people feel valued and supported. When you read the report, there is a lot of HR words in, which if there's any misunderstanding, or if anyone wants to ask what they might feel is a daft question, but probably is quite a reasonable question about the meanings of any particular words within either the report or the policies, feel free, because you'll educate us all. You'll see that it's not just a matter of changing the policies and changing some of the policies, but also bringing them up to date and putting them in a way where they're not all stuck in one volume. They are now standalone policies, so that you have a kind of a la carte of policies, which should be easier for managers to find and employees to find, for them to talk through together. So once again, if Karen or Fran wishes to add anything to what I've said, I'd welcome their input.
Thank you. Karen Bradford, our CEO, would you like to speak, please?
Thank you, Chairman. Can I just ask members to look at pages 23, 24, 25 and 26, and what Fran and the team have done is done a summary of the changes, which hopefully is quite helpful, because other than having to plough through lots of policy documents, that should help about where the changes have happened and why there's the proposed changes, either new legislation or areas that have been identified by the staff or the trade unions that they'd like to see in our policies. I'm really pleased with the level of engagement that we've had on this. We discussed it at length with the trade unions, and of course they've been all shared with the whole of the organisation, so every member of staff have been able to have an opportunity to come back and actually frame and influence these policies. So great piece of work by the team. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone who would like to comment or ask any questions about each of these policies? Thank you. Councillor Stokes. Lovely. Welcome to the Employment Committee. It's nice to see you here.
Thank you. Just welcome the new additions to the leave policy. And I wondered if the safe leave policy, the 5 days, is quite sufficient if somebody or one of the members of staff is experiencing domestic abuse. Could that not be extended, because it can be really very far-reaching?
Would you like to comment, perhaps? Fran, please.
Yeah, sure. So this is something that hasn't previously been in the council's policy, and it's something that most councils don't offer at all. So it was something to say how important it is and to provide that support to employees. We do treat all cases on a case-by-case basis. If somebody needed additional time off, then we would be talking to them about that, and be doing that on a case-by-case basis. I think it's just to put it into policy that it's something that to encourage employees to be talking to us about it, which it's an important topic, but it's something that people perhaps wouldn't think to be talking to their employees about. So that's why we've introduced it into the policy. I think, but like I say, if employees who are going through domestic abuse needed something different, then we would help them on a case by case.
Thank you very much. Councillor Vishnath Singh, thank you.
Yes, Madam. Again, on the leave policy, I just wonder, does maternity or paternity leave comes into that as well? Also time period?
I'll let Fran answer on that one, thank you.
So as part of this policy refresh, we've been doing batches of policies at a time. We brought paternity to a previous employment committee, so we enhanced the terms for paternity when we brought it, so it's 2 weeks paid paternity leave for employees to spend time at home with their new babies, and prior to that it had been a week's pay and then statutory pay, so we enhanced the terms at that point, but that is a separate paternity policy. As we've been refreshing the handbook, we've just done them at different employment committees, so yes, it has already been put into place. Maternity is also enhanced, so that's this policy. So we do an enhanced maternity for people, 4 months half pay for maternity.
Is that okay, Councillor Vishnath Singh? Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions or comments regarding any of these policies? Thank you, Councillor Knight.
Thanks. Very similar to Councillor Stokes' question, really, about the paid compassionate leave. I think if my wife died tonight, I don't think I'd be ready to come back to work next Wednesday. It seems quite a short time period. Is there, presumably there's an enormous amount of flexibility in that, is there? I mean, because it can affect. I mean, I consider myself relatively cold-hearted, and I think I would struggle to come back in 5 days if my wife died. So I'm just wondering what is there a degree of flexibility for managers to actually be able to look at specific cases and things like that? Because that does seem very, very short. You wouldn't even get a funeral arranged in that amount of time.
No, thank you, Councillor Knight. My immediate thoughts on that would be that within that time period and with such a major event in your life, the likely person who would be most adept at helping you through that period might be to go and see a doctor, and then probably it would come from sick leave. But Fran's the expert, she'll tell me, or Karen will tell me. Thank you. Who's it going to be?
Yeah, I agree, and it's so difficult to write policies on this. So I've had lengthy conversations with trade union as well around, because even when you're trying to categorise different things, it's different to different people. So grandparents, you know, you might need 2 weeks off with grandparents. Do you know, like, it's really difficult to write it. So again, we've put a clause in underneath it to say it's case by case basis. Discuss it with your manager. But often in situations like you've just said, it does turn to sick leave at some point as well, because it is categorised as that, because it is that, and we have enhanced sick pay as well. But again, we treat it on a case-by-case basis and be talking to people about what they need, what support they need, and what time off they need.
Thank you. I also ask questions around things like godparents and a neighbour who depends on you as a sort of a carer, although you're not traditionally a carer for that person. And I was told there is flexibility within the policy, because some people it's their relatives that mean the most to them, and for other people it may be people who are not related to them at all. But it is a flexible policy which managers then manage because they know their staff the best, is what I was told. Thank you. Councillor Sandel, nice to see you here, and I'm glad you're asking a question. Thank you.
Thank you. It's just to say that 5 days I can understand myself, even at my age, about losing the other half. But do they look at extending it to unpaid leave if it is a very close relative?
Could you answer that for me, please, Fran?
Sorry that I keep saying case by case, but I think I wouldn't automatically go to unpaid leave. It is always an option to employees, and if employees want to talk to us about unpaid leave, then we would. But there's often other ways that we do it. If somebody is not able to be coming to work, then we'd be speaking to them about that.
Thank you very much. Are there any further... Karen.
Thank you, Chairman. Fran, can I just ask you to look at page 50 for me? And I know this was a late addition into the document around what I'd asked for around parental bereavement leave of around losing a child under including stillbirths after 24 weeks. Can you just check, because under section 5 we've got parental bereavement leave and pay, and then we've got number 8 is parental bereavement leave. We've got the two. Can we just clarify if that's right? And then the eligible employees may take 1 or 2 weeks of leave, either consecutively or separately, within 56 weeks of the child's death. Is that correct? Do you want to just to confirm that, just so we're clear? And I would never say Councillor Knight is cold-hearted at all. Precisely.
Sorry, did you want to respond to that?
Just to say yes, I'll have a look at that, but yes, it is. So, depending on the situations of, for example, a baby born and then passing away in neonates or stillborns, then it does still apply within the first year of their life, but I will just check that duplication there in the policy. I'll get that amended.
Thank you for that. Anything further that we need to dig into in terms of these policies? Oh gosh, it wasn't like this in my day, that's all I have to say. I'm so pleased to see that the world has changed, and changed for the better. Okay, if there are no further comments or questions to ask with regard to these items. Oh, apologies. Councillor Baxter, do you have a question or comment?
No, I'm probably finishing your sentence for you, which is to say I'd like to propose that the committee accept the recommendation to approve the HR policies, but could I add in a line at the bottom, I'm sure Josh will phrase it better than I do, but to say to delegate authority to the Chief Executive and Head of HR to make minor amendments where necessary. So, in consultation with me, if you like. I don't know that I should be recommending it, though. So anyway, I just want to make sure that if there's an anomaly like Karen's just pointed out, that we don't need to bring it back here every time to cross a T or dot an I.
Okay, thank you for that proposal that we recommend these to our Cabinet. Could I have a seconder for that, please? Thank you, Councillor Stokes. All those in favour of that even more serious then for us to approve that this is what goes forward, making a proviso for delegation to amend in minor ways as required. Do we have agreement from the committee? Can I have those who agree with the proposal to please raise their hand? Thank you very much. You've got a unanimous there, Josh. Thank you very much, everyone, for going through all of those. Now we come to item 7, which is our HR dashboard and people plan, which is brought to us by our HR officer, Jane Jenkinson. Thank you very much. Did you need to speak first, Leader, or do we go straight to Jane?
Always happy to introduce. The report provides the HR metrics for the full year from April 24 to March 25. The report and accompanying presentation provides an update against the 6 themes of the people strategy, which are, as you all know, recruitment and workforce planning, engagement, reward and recognition, development, equality, diversity, inclusion and well-being. I haven't said for any of the reports yet, but I hope it goes without saying that I am incredibly grateful for the work of Karen and her team, and particularly today Fran and Jane for putting these reports together. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Jane, are you ready? Thank you.
Okay, so apologies that you didn't receive the copy of the presentation in advance, but I understand that's now been circulated to everybody, so I'll just walk you through the presentation. So this covers each of the aspects of the current people strategy that is obviously going to be replaced by the new one that's just been approved. So looking at the first one of recruitment and... Oh, can you not hear me? Sorry. Okay, so can you move on, Sam? So this slide shows the current headcount split between male and female and full-time and part-time employees, and also the number of starters and leavers throughout the year. There's a very slight increase in total headcount compared to last year, and we've had slightly higher level of leavers, but these were mainly in Q1, and some of those are casual employees that are just taken on for short-term contracts, such as the Green Waste project. So this slide shows the reasons that people leave. So for the majority of leavers, we carry out an exit interview with them so that we can look at the reasons that people are leaving and identify any need to put in any interventions. Our turnover rate increased slightly on the previous year and sits at 14%, which is quite typical for local government. The average for district councils is 13.5%, but possibly slightly higher where we've got in-house waste services. So moving on to the reward and recognition, as Councillor Baxter's already referred to, we recently had a successful awards evening, which was held on the 19th of June, where 19 awards were given out, which align with the Council's values, staff suggestions and Directorate and Chief Executive awards, and we had more than 230 nominations for those 19 awards. Okay. So this slide shows some information on last year's staff survey. I think it's already been mentioned, the staff survey for 2025 was launched on Monday, and we've already had 170 online surveys completed. We also distribute a number of paper copies for the large number of the workforce that don't necessarily have access to IT. So we're hoping to match or improve on last year's completion rate of 85%. We'll be carrying out the analysis on the results during August, and we'll be reporting back to the Employment Committee on the findings in September, and also feeding back to teams on what those results are. So this shows some statistics on equality and diversity, and we're always trying to improve on the statistics that we hold on our staff, so that we can make sure that we're matching the demographics of the district. As well as being an age-friendly employer, we're also a disability-confident employer, and that means that we guarantee interviews to anyone with a disability who meets essential criteria for a role. We also have that guaranteed interview for veterans and care leavers as well. Okay, so the next slide looks at development. We've got a really good record with apprentices. We've got 33 current apprenticeships, ranging from senior leadership and joinery to facilities management and IT. We've got new apprentices that have been explored in data protection, grounds maintenance, facilities management and sustainability. And we hold regular apprentice network meetings to bring everybody together and share their experiences. Most recent one happened in June. So moving on to wellbeing. So one of the major aspects of wellbeing is the work that we do on sickness, to make sure that we've got a workforce that's as healthy as possible. For the first quarter, this slide is showing last year's absence, which was a slight increase on the previous year, but already this year the levels are coming down, and particularly the long-term absence. So for last year, sickness increased significantly in December 2024 and January 25, and that was due to an increase in cold and flu-related absences, and that accounted for almost 30% of all absence during those months. 50% of those absences occurred in street scene and waste and recycling, and to try and avoid a repeat of that this year, we're going to be offering on-site flu vaccinations. We have offered them out previously, but people had to go out and make the appointments themselves, so I'm going to bring it to the workforce so that it's easier for everybody. Top reasons for absence remain as stress-related absence and mental health-related, as well as other musculoskeletal. Move on, Sam, please. So we've got some information here on the Employee Assistance Programme, the number of return to works and the mental health first aiders. So the Employee Assistance Programme is fairly well used, and we're looking at promoting that even more shortly. And we continue to work closely with our mental health first aiders to make sure that we're supporting them, as well as them supporting employees across the organisation. The return to work interviews, we're getting a really good success rate, and they're being followed up religiously. So I think there's only one in the whole year that wasn't completed on that one. So, moving on, Sam. So, as has already been mentioned about the wellbeing activities in the menopause cafe that's held, we're putting on an awful lot, and the wellbeing team do a fantastic job in coming up with the ideas of what to put on and then delivering a programme of activities. We've also got some statistics here on the disciplinaries across the organisation. We had a new disciplinary policy which came to Employment Committee last year, and had accompanying guides and templates which has been well received by the managers who are using those. So anybody looks at those figures in the box, you'll see it doesn't actually add up to the 19, but that's because during the course of the investigations we had a number of resignations and one resulted in an informal resolution. Okay, and the final slide is about future focus. So there are a number of changes going through at the moment through the Employment Rights Bill, changes to 0 hours contracts, unfair dismissal rights, and increased protection for pregnant and new mothers, which will be included in our policies. And we're just keeping up to date with new and amended legislation as it comes through. We've got the HR Hub, which all of our policies and procedures and supporting documents are located on there, and that's been well received by staff and managers. So other focuses for us are the local government reorganisation, training needs analysis. We've just completed our appraisal cycle for 2025, about 100% completion of appraisals, and we're looking at the training plan that's coming out of those. So that was all I've got to cover on that. If anybody's got any questions.
Thank you, Jane. That's really appreciated. That is such a broad brush. And when you look at what we try to provide as employers for our employees, I think it's staggering. I hear of organisations outside of SKDC who could learn a lot from this. I wonder if any of the other officers in the room wanted to make any further comments. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Chairman. It is warm. It is putting a smile on my face, the HR dashboard, but I am really still concerned about sickness levels. I know the team are doing an extraordinary amount of work to make sure people come back to work at the earliest opportunity. We do use our occupational health. We've got wellbeing support. We've got trigger points, we've got return to work interviews, we've got interviews when they are off to make sure that we're doing everything we can to support individuals. It's disappointing we've gone up 2 days over the year. I know a lot of it was down to the December-January flu period. We are looking to try and take those flu jabbing out to people this year, but I know a number of people don't want the flu jab, but would prefer just to have a bad cold. We can't refer to it as anything else or I'll get told off by HR. I'm not looking at you, Gareth, and you're laughing at me. Yeah, the sickness rate is probably the biggest disappointment for me, and you know the team will continue to focus on keeping those numbers down as much as possible and encouraging those on long-term sick to get the right support from their GPs and to come back to work as soon as possible. Stress is one of those big things that is still there, and the whole societal impact of life is very much around stress, but our colds and flus have significantly gone up. So, so on the whole, very, very positive, great results. Team are doing a fabulous job, and all the senior managers, and it's great to see a healthy and engaged workforce, certainly around training, development, appraisals. All in all, a good positive report, but we just need to keep the focus on reducing our sickness levels.
Thank you, Karen. On a personal level, having been told I can wait till January 26th for an MRI, I understand why our musculoskeletal issues that our workers have may take longer than we'd want for them to resolve. Yes, an amazing amount of information there. There was one question I wanted to ask Jane. I wasn't sure. You said that for all positions where they apply, we interview veterans and care leavers. Do we do that for people with a disability as well? Okay.
Yes, so where they meet the essential criteria, they are guaranteed an interview.
Smashing. Thank you very much. That report up from item 7 is merely for noting. I see that you have questions, Councillor Knight and Councillor Bishnath Singh. Councillor Knight, would you like to be first? Such deference, I'm really enjoying this. Councillor Bishnath Singh.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. It's very good, but also there are some of the things that have been highlighted in region which is highest, like just been mentioned, musculoskeletal seems to be highest, in most of it. But what I'm very interested to know, when you say long-term illness, for 4,244, what sort of period of time we're talking about that they have not been in work? Or is it something, and what sort of injury or disability is most prevalent there?
Councillor, can you just tell me which page you're referring to, please?
Page, what page is this one? Doesn't get a page. No number on it. No. Yeah.
Can you find that one and provide an answer for us, please? Thank you, Jane.
So absences that are 20 days or longer are classed as long-term. There's no set period that somebody is off on long-term sickness. Each case is different, and it's for a variety of different reasons that people are off long-term sick as well. Has that answered your question?
Thank you.
Not quite ready, because obviously something you always order one type or something. If, for example, you're very disabled, you've got a broken neck, yes, you'll be for a long time. That's one cause that can't be cured. But what is the other reason? Is it short-term period, 6 months or a year? Or what sort of period of time the people are in? How many people are involved?
I think Jane has just said anything over 20 days lost, so that's 4 weeks, would be classed as long-term sick. So it's one absence. So if it's one absence over 20 days, it's classified as long-term. Anything under 20 days is short-term. And there's a trigger put in there. So if they have 3 periods of short-term sickness, then there's a specific interview that takes place between the manager with HR and the individual to see why are those individuals still being off sick for periods of short-term periods. So if they have 1 day 1 week, 1 day the next week, and 1 day the following week, then they'll be interviewed because they'll hit those medical triggers. But long-term sick, it's over 20 days. So anything from an injury or we have a number of members of staff suffering from cancer. A variety of different cancers, and sometimes that they're well enough to come into work and engage, and sometimes that they're not. But we treat those slightly differently because they're coming in and out of work dependent on how they're feeling with their treatment. But anything over 20 days is classed as long-term sick.
Anybody that is on, for example, just one particular, the musculoskeletal ones, do we provide any sort of help for those people to help them to be functional again?
This is an interesting one because we did bring a private medical support policy forward that was rejected by this council. But if somebody is waiting for a new knee, new hip, they're in the NHS system and they're having to wait, so therefore they may not be able to do their job. We have wellbeing support to a certain level, but we don't pay for any type of additional support to get them back into work because it wasn't supported by this committee.
Do you feel that we should review that policy? Because I know that we'll put forward that is a part of an insurance cover, sickness cover.
Councillor, I'm not really in a position to say that, but if you'd like to put that on the work programmes, I'm sure we'll be able to bring something back.
I'm happy with that. Lovely. Thank you. Stop smiling. Okay. That that report was just for noting. Councillor Stokes, you wish to say something, and Councillor Knight, I've forgotten. Councillor Knight, would you continue?
Thanks. Two questions on clarity, really. On the page regarding top 10 reasons for absence long-term and days lost due to absence long-term, they cover different things. So, for example, 21, I mean, I don't know if that's 21 people, 21 instances, or what. Top 10 reasons for absence long-term: stress, depression, mental health. But then stress, depression and mental health doesn't appear on the days lost due to absence. So I'd just like a bit of clarity as to how that adds up. Are these, on the top graph, is this number of people or number of instances? Obviously days lost is a bit clearer, but we don't seem to be losing many days to stress, but we do seem to have that as the most common reason for absence. And the second thing, again, just for clarity, on the penultimate page about disciplinaries, it says that there were 19 fact-finding investigations. Is that all disciplinaries, covering every single HR policy, from the speeding policy, or whatever you call it? I know I'm not allowed to call it the speeding policy, the drug policy, people just being late for work regularly? I mean, because 19 is extraordinarily low, I think, for a number of, across the entire council, for every single policy we have. 19 is extraordinarily low.
Should we take that as a compliment? Would you like to speak? Jane, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So in terms of the stress reasons and the differences there, so the top 10 reasons, the reason it's not showing as high on the days lost is because a lot of the stress-related absence tends to be short-term absence, so it doesn't add up to be in the top number of days. Does that answer that?
So, for example, so the 21 refers to number of people, or number of instances?
Yes. Yes.
People. So so that would be 21 people taking, say, 21 days, but that adds up to more than 22 days lost due to absence. Because so if it was 21 people taking 21 days, which would be the trigger for long-term sickness, my maths is, it is higher than 22. I know that much. I'll go through it off the top of my head, but it's quite a lot. But it would be, that should be right up there with stomach, liver indigestion, all of that stuff, I would have thought.
Sorry, could you just
so if you've got,
which of the graphs that...
Sorry, on this page here, so it's the well-being one, about 4 or 5 from the end.
Yeah.
So if the trigger for long-term absence is 20 days, and there's 21 people that have reported it, that means there would have to be 21 people reporting at least 21 days worth of absence. You times those figures together, and hopefully someone's had a calculator out at the time I've done this to figure that out. But either way, that's quite a high figure, and yet it doesn't appear in the graph below in terms of days lost due to absence. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Would I be able to come back on that?
Would you be happy, Councillor Knight, if Jane Jenkinson came back to you on that one? I notice there is one figure that says blank 229. Could this be the one that you're looking for?
That's about the right figure.
As 2020 is 400, isn't it? I don't know. Not going to work, is it? No. Jane, would you like to come back on this our September meeting if Councillor Knight is happy for you to do that?
Acceptable. I could come back outside of that before that. In terms of your query about the disciplinaries, so the speeding and any absence sanctions are not included in that figure. That tends to be disciplinary investigations that take place, but that does include drug and alcohol as well.
Thanks. Just to clarify. Just to clarify on the long-term absence thing, what I'm trying to get a grip of is the mental health issue an issue that affects a very small number of people a lot, or a lot of people a little, if that makes sense, because it's clearly triggering the long-term absence thing, whereas it's not necessarily triggering the short-term absence figures. But if we're talking about sort of 21 people that are taking an enormous amount of time off, that presents quite a different picture compared to, for example, if a bin man breaks his arm, he's not going to be able to collect the bin. I mean, that's an obvious one that we can all understand, and it'd just be good to have a bit of an understanding as to where the mental health figures in particular come from, because it does seem odd that they're very high on one graph and non-existent on the other one. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I leave that one with you, Jane? Thank you very much. Ian Stokes, I understand you had a question or a comment. Thank you.
Well, it's just a strange one. On the page where it says disability, sexual orientation, and ethnicity, whatever I pronounce that, it would appear that not yet answered or yet to answer seems to be incredibly high, and in some cases it's more than the total of the crosscast. I know that the sexual orientation one is really unnecessary, and I prefer not to say would be yet to answer. But is this all necessary that we've got to do this by law?
I'm sure the person who made the law said it was necessary. And I'm of the opinion that you are, that if you don't think this information is relevant, why should you give it to your employer anyway? So I always sit on the side of the people who don't want to give that information. I'm sure the Chief Executive may have a comment to make about this. Would you like to speak? Or thank you, Fran will speak.
So obviously we have the option for prefer not to say, so that if somebody doesn't want to give the information, then they don't need to. And that's recorded by that. The not recorded information is because we've never gathered that information from them. So they've not said that they prefer not to say, but they've not answered when we've done like surveys to say to give that information. They've not answered at all. So, but yeah, we do have the preferred not to say option for anybody who doesn't want to give that information to us as an employer.
In that case, I just think that it's unnecessary to ask these questions.
Councillor Baxter, did you wish to speak on that?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I understand what is presented, because it's a higher number actually of people not yet to answer whether or not they've got a disability, and that's an entirely different question, obviously. But was Fran saying that not yet answered means not yet asked, or does it mean that people have just skipped past the question and not bothered, as would I?
Would you like to clarify that, please?
Yeah, so skip past the question. So on iTrent, on all of our profile accounts, we can log this information. So, for example, with disability that you've just raised, it's often important as an employer that we know about disabilities so that we can do reasonable adjustments at work. Obviously, that is absolutely up to the employees. You know, it's absolutely up to them whether they give us that information or not. But this is pulled from iTrent accounts. We do sort of regular asking employees if there's any other information or if anything's changed, if there's anything else that they want to tell us about, then they can update iTrent at any time, but we do reminders on that as well. But yeah, it's that they've not logged that information onto iTrent.
It would seem that the government is more interested in having information than people are often in giving it. Would be my view on that. Would you like to speak?
Yeah, thank you. I think the important thing is we've got the facility there for people to share the information if they want to share the information, to allow them to ensure they can do their job and fulfil their job roles. If we didn't have the information, how would we gather it if somebody has a disability? And it may be a short-term disability or a longer-term disability, or other matters that they want to share with us that they need to make the HR team aware about. A number of people have the rights. If they don't want to share that information, they don't want to share the information. They may have a disability that they do feel that they don't want to share. So it's an opportunity there for people to share information to allow us to support them in the workplace if that's the extra support that they need.
Thank you. Is there any further? Councillor Stokes, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. I'm picking up on apprentices, really. I think it's a really positive thing that we've got so many apprenticeships. I'm guessing there are a variety of apprenticeships over different trades and whatever. I was just wondering what sort of tie-up we have with colleges and things like that, the length of time, and also what is our retention of apprentices post-apprenticeship.
Thank you. I know they go everything from plumbers to professional qualifications and degree level and what have you, but I'm sure Jane or Fran will know far more about this than I do. Did you want to speak at all about, have we had apprentices who have finished apprenticeships and still retain their employment with us?
Yes, we have, and we've currently got some on the trades, as Councillor Stokes mentioned, that are carrying on their training, and I know the Housing Technical Services team are very keen to try and retain those employees when they get to the end of the apprenticeships, where there are vacant posts.
Thank you very much. Karen Bradford, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I think one of the key things about apprenticeships that we were going to the market in certain areas and we weren't able to recruit, certainly around planning, there was certainly around environmental health. So we put in place graduate apprenticeships as well to grow our own. So everything from the plumber, the builder, the electrician, to also professional areas like environmental health and planners. And it's been hugely successful, and building control as well. And we are retaining those staff because, you know, if they think it's a good workplace to work and the culture's right, they're going to stay with you. I think we lost one LGA graduate to another authority because she was able to do a career path a bigger jump than what she had here. But yeah, so we're doing it to retain staff and have our staff upskilled and better qualified. And so I think it's working extremely well. I mean, I think it refers to 33 apprenticeships. We were talking only today in corporate management team about our revenue sector. You know, it takes 6 months to get an up-to-date revenues officer to deal with benefits and change of forms, and we're on about looking at potential apprenticeships in that area as well, again to grow our own, because we go to the market and the response is quite disappointing. So we are looking to upskill and bring people in with good baseline skills to put them through the apprenticeship programme and then have a job ready for them at the end. It's a way of growing your own and to retain. And I think it works great. I think it's the way forward.
I guess it's not legal, but do we have something that ties them to us after they're finished, or is that not possible?
We can't tie them to the organisation as much as I'd like to do with some and say, no, you're not having them. But what we can do, for the later ones, is we've got training agreements. So if we've invested in them in reference to quite at any level of training, that there is a cost against it, then we will try to recover those costs if they were to leave from them as an individual or from their future employer. So we have a training agreement.
Thank you. Councillor Bisnath Singh.
I'm just bringing my own personal experience. When I was in the Air Force, I wanted to go into a higher trade, in an engineering trade. And Air Force said, yes, we will pay for you to go on those trainings, you know, for it, provided you sign for another 5 years. They give us 5 years service. We expect that. This is like, yes, okay, we are paying for it, but we'll at least 4 or 5 years or 10 years secure in your employment. Can we employ something like that? Can we do that?
Through yourself, Chairman, I don't think we can, but the way that we do get people to commit is through the training agreement, that they'd have to pay for all of that training cost back. We would lose the time released to do the training, of course, if they were to leave. But we do have to look at local government as a local government family, and if we've got better skilled individuals and they're going to other organisations and they're taking those skills with them, that's good for the whole local government family, because, you know, we do employ other people that have been trained at other authorities into our organisation when those opportunities arrive, but we don't have agreements that secure somebody's employment for a period of time.
Councillor Johnson, would you like to ask a final question before we move on to item 8?
Just as a matter of interest, do we have a limit on number of apprentices we have? And how do we choose the apprentices? Do we put out, you know, to the colleges to say that we've got them, or do they come from internal things? Thank you.
Could you answer that question, please?
Yeah, so we haven't got limits, and as in the organisation, the culture of the organisation, I'd be very happy to have double the amount of apprenticeships that we've got if we could afford it. We have an apprenticeship levy that comes in, that we commit, and of course a number of the other posts was through the budget this year that we actually invested in graduate schemes ourselves as a local authority. So there's no upper limit. We do work well with Grantham College and some of the colleges. We do advertise. We advertise the apprenticeships for the trades. And we've got a number of young people that were school leavers onto those. The recent ones with environmental health and planning were graduates, so we're advertising through the universities as well. And they were very sought after positions, and we had some fabulous candidates, and we've got very successful employees coming through that. So it's a mixture, so we advertise, and sometimes it's through their own training plan with us as an organisation that they do say, oh, I'd like to do some training on X or Y, and we support them as an organisation. So that normally comes through their annual appraisals, which again, as Jane mentioned, that we've hit 100% again this year, you know, because people see the value in them, and sharing that information to develop that corporate training plan, but also to identify, you know, career progressing qualifications.
Thank you for that. Okay, moving on to item 8. Item 8 is to discuss the pay award 2025-26. This is going to be presented by Councillor Baxter, Leader of the Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. On the 24th of April 2025, the National Employers Organisation announced a full and final offer on the 25-26 pay award for council employees nationally of 3.2%. The same offer has also been made for chief executives and chief officers. SKDC is not part of the national consultation process, but in recent years our pay offer has reflected the national employees' final pay offer, and we have paid this as soon as possible to avoid staff having to wait for the outcome of national pay negotiations, which can be long and protracted. SKDC last year, you will all remember, budgeted for a 2% pay award for 25-26. So if you take 2 away from 3.2, it leaves a shortfall of 1.2, which equates to a budgetary impact on the council, the difference between what we budgeted to pay and what the likely offer is from national employers. And that budgetary impact is £244,000 on the general fund and £76,000 on the housing revenue account, making a total of just over 300. Members' allowances currently increase in line with staff pay awards. There is a potential impact of £9,000, but this would probably be accommodated within the existing budget. Employment Committee is asked to note the employer's final pay award offer of 3.2% for the financial year 25-26 and the current budget allocation of 2%. Employment Committee is also asked to recommend to Council additional budgets to fund the proposed pay award of 3.2%, backdated to 1st of April 2025. As I've said, 244,000 for the general fund, 76 for the HRA account. We are in no doubt that we've just been saying all through this meeting that we value our staff tremendously, and we need to pay them. We do have local negotiations, so we could choose to pay our staff less than the nationally agreed pay award or more than the nationally agreed pay award. At the moment, we're waiting to hear what will be the national pay award. If the trade unions don't agree with the 3.2%, and they don't, In other areas, they could take industrial action in all kinds of ways and shapes. That's unlikely to happen here. However, I think we as an authority do need to be mindful of what's happening in other authorities. Therefore, I would heartily recommend that we look at what's happening nationally, 3.2, and recommend to full council that we pay our staff accordingly and set budgets to allow us to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Baxter. Do I have any questions and comments on that? Thank you, Councillor Knight.
Thank you. And thank you, Councillor Baxter, for the explanation. I think that whether or not we like the whole way that we have a national pay award and the national bargaining through the trade unions and everything, regardless of our opinion on that, that is what we signed up to. And I think that, you know, on occasion we have to take the good with the bad, as we've discussed with member allowances as well. If those decisions are made for us, it makes it more objective. Personally, I'm not a fan of blanket pay awards, and yeah, I hadn't actually realised till you just said it that this hasn't actually been agreed yet. So this is still penciled in. The bigger question, though, is how come we only budgeted a 2% increase? 2% does seem very, very low, and I'm surprised that that was all that was budgeted for in the previous year's budget. I would have thought that it would have been higher. I mean, that is extraordinarily low. I don't think there's ever been a pay award, national pay award of that. Sorry, I'll let you.
Thank you. Would our Chief Executive like to respond? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. We've automatically done at least 2% in our pay award. We've had certain years where there was no pay increases. There's been lump sum payments and not percentage payments, which was in a number of years where certain levels got a lump sum instead of a percentage, and that equated to 11 and 12% pay increase for those grades of posts. I think one year we'd only actually budgeted 1% for an increase in the pay award. The advice we were getting nationally last year was to budget for 2%, and that's why we voted to put 2% into the budget. I think what we've seen with other industries, you know, the police, the fire, the teachers, the civil service, NHS, bigger pay awards, and that's what's kind of skewed where we are at the present time. Rightly or wrongly, and that's why I think the employers have offered 3.2%, and the update is of Tuesday this week that there was a further challenge put in last week by the trade unions to say that all three main trade unions have rejected the full and final pay award, and they gave the employers till Friday afternoon to come back to them with a revised pay award. They have come back to them and said there will be no change on the offer that's already on the table. So the three main trade unions now will be considering their position if they are to take industrial action or not. As for paying it early like we've done in previous years, this helps members of staff that are on benefits, so they don't get a lump sum in one month that affects their benefits. It's smoothed out across the year, so as soon as the final offer is given, it is good practice to actually implement that as soon as possible to assist members of staff that are able to claim benefits, so there's no benefit lump which then affects their benefits for that month, and then it has to pick up again in future months. So that is why the report is with you today. But like I said, the employers confirmed on Friday this is full and final offer.
Thank you. Response?
Thanks. I totally get this is out of our control. I totally understand that. But I think that there's a reality. We spend a considerable amount of time going over the budget, months and months and months. I mean, it pretty much starts in September, and we sign it off in the last second in March every year. And it does strike me that the difference here is enormous. I mean, if that was an amount of money that we were spending on a new toilet block, for example, or cleaning litter on the A1, or any of the other things that we've debated at length in budgets, we'd be, it would fill a full council meeting for an hour. I'm just wondering if our approach in the future as a council has to be, look, we've got a Labour government now. They're going to give higher pay awards than previous governments have, and that is a political point. I'm not ashamed to say that. So therefore, we've got to presume that they are going to be spending more money on these things, and we need to be budgeting more, because I would rather, as a councillor, I'd rather be in a position whereby the national pay award is lower than what we've budgeted for, and then we can spend the money on something that will actually benefit the community. Not that our staff don't, are not important, but we could spend it on that rather than it just suddenly being oh look, we've got to move money from one fund to another fund to fund something that was kind of predictable, I think, to a certain degree. Certainly it will be next year, if not last year.
Did you want to speak again? Or? Okay, I was just going to say, they do say that they want the minimum wage to go up to £15 within the next 2 years. So yes, watch this space. If that's going to happen, I'll let you work out the percentage figures on that one. But, yeah, okay, thank you. Councillor Ian Stokes.
Thank you. I just wondered if this pay increase in the budget was sort of incorporating the rather large national insurance that the employers are going to have to find.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Chairman. There was a separate line put in the budget for the national insurance contributions, and of course, as we were aware, we thought that we'd get 100% subsidy return on national insurance costs. That's not what happened. I think I can't remember the percentage in the end, but it was quite considerable that we weren't compensated for national insurance increases, which of course the budget had to find. But I think I was surprised with 3.2%. If you want my honest opinion, I thought it might be higher, but not at that kind of level, because we've had 1% in the past and 1.2%, 1.5%, and we were being advised by our financial modelling, national modelling teams around 2%. There's not many authorities went above 2% in their budget because there's such high cost. But yes, that's something that we will certainly look at in the future. And also, when it comes to council, I will look back over the future years and see how much we actually built into the budget for staff increases, if that would be useful.
Thank you, Karen. Did you want to ask a question? Councillor Bisna Singh.
Is this the
yes, just to make this, I think we have arrived at this position now because, as put up by our leader, because this 1.2%, is that due now that we should vote for that to be paid, to be added to the wage? Yes, I think probably we can't get away from it. I'm quite happy to propose, Madam Chairman, that we do accept the recommendation.
That's where we are today, because that is the recommendation at this time. We are asking, should we recommend to Council that the pay award offer of 3.2% for this financial year be made, so that we are at least addressing that now. We don't know it as a finality, but at least we'd be addressing it now, and it would try and even out the money received by our employees who are affected by benefits, as the Chief Executive said.
Madam Chair, we are only talking about the 1.2% additional. So that's what we're proposed to add that. Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm quite happy to propose that we do go ahead as recommended.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. Did anyone else wish to comment? Chief Executive,
Can I just for clarity, we'd not agreed the 2%, but we'd put the 2% in the budget. So yes, it's a 1.2% additional cost, but the pay award will be 3.2%. So even though it was in the budget, it didn't mean that you were going to award it in the budget. It was built into the budget at 2%. But with it being 3.2, it's an extra 1.2, and then you'd still have to agree the 3.2 at council. But the additional cost, hopefully I haven't lost you, the additional cost is the 1.2.
So
but you're not advising 1.2, you're actually recommending 3.2, even though the 2% is already built into the budget.
You're happy to propose that for us, are you, Councillor Vishnath Singh? That's smashing. Thank you very much. Is there a second, Councillor, to second this, that we put to Council that we offer a pay award of 3.2%? Thank you very much. Councillor Sandor. All those in favour of that recommendation? Thank you. Oh, you're up or down? We're up. That's a unanimous vote. Thank you very much. Thank you for your consideration of that. Right, thank you very much. We're moving on to item 9, and we've made really good progress this afternoon. I do thank you all for that. We're now at the work programme. Now, looking at what the work programme was offering at June, I noted that with the new policies, we've covered all of them except at the moment on that list there is shared parental leave, which we haven't covered today. But I understand that the HR will bring that forward at another date. Would you like to put a date in for that, HR, or would you like that to be left open for the time being?
Yeah, we'll put that on the work plan for November, so there'll be a couple more policies, and as part of we're losing the old handbook, but there'll be a new draft of a new handbook that accompanies, that signposts all these new policies, so it'll be a lot shorter than the old handbook. So this HR policy and handbook review we've had on the last couple of agendas, and it'll be back on for November if that's acceptable to you, Chairman.
That sounds fantastic. Thank you. That'd be lovely. We have the biennial HR dashboard update every 6 months. That we've had the one for June, so that will likely come up in 6 months. Karen, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Of course, we'll have the recruitment for the new Director of Law and Governance and Monitoring Officer. I'm working with the recruiters now. I've got a meeting this afternoon. I'm hoping that we'll be able to work with you that the 16th of September would be extended to actually do the interviews on that day, to then be able to recommend then from the 16th of September to Council in September. For appointment on the 18th of September. So that's the timeline I'm trying to work to. I don't know if that will happen. If not, it might be the fact that I do need to ask you to set another date for the interviews.
Thank you very much, Chief Executive. And hopefully we'll be able to renew the co-opted member for the Governance and Audit Committee. That should be a very brief item for the September. Will that need to be in September? We need to check when he was appointed. Was it September? Has to be September.
Yeah, we need to get it through by November. So
we need that through for November, is my understanding. So that will be quick. Gareth, thank you.
Could we please, I'm not sure when we had the last update, I think it was September or November, could we have another update on the speeding and drink and drugs policy, please? Because that was useful last year, and it would be useful to know if there's any update on that. Whenever it was, so it's a full calendar year. If it was November, then November.
So you would like a yearly update on the substance abuse policy?
And the speeding policy, please. Thank you.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. I'm sure HR will work out for us when that is due from the last time that we had one. Thank you very much. Other items that are on here, the pay policy statement always comes in November, and the gender pay gap usually comes in January, doesn't it? Am I right in thinking that the gender pay gap comes in January? Don't worry that far ahead, but it will come up as it comes up as an annual event. Are there any other items which members of this committee feel should come and be part of the work programme? Karen, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I think we will need to consider something at the November meeting around local government reorganisation, because as part of the bid that we will need to, the Council need to consider, and if we submit on the 28th of November, there would be a considered new staffing structure for the new Unitary Council, which will form part of our our submission. So I would like to think that the Employment Committee could give consideration to that on the 12th of November.
Yes, I think that would be very important, wouldn't it? And of course we have the other thing there, which is the implementation of the volunteer policy, which I think we should be able to just fit around the other significant, most significant items that we do need to cover between now and December. Are there any other things that one would like to see added to the work programme for the Employment Committee? Okay, thank you very much for that. So that was item 9, the work programme. Item 10 today is any other urgent business. I've not been notified of any urgent business, and so I am ready to conclude this meeting. Is there any issue with that, Councillor Bisnath Singh?
So, Madam Chair, just something is niggling at the back of my mind. When you ask for any item for agenda for the next Employment Committee meeting.
When we were doing the work programme, right?
Okay. Can I come back to earlier things, discussion we raised with regards to reconsidering about our employee including like a health insurance policy? Can I put that as an item of the agenda?
You can if you want to, Councillor Bisnath Singh. Yeah, would you like that added to the work programme?
Yes, please, I would.
Okay, thank you. There are no further items, then that concludes the meeting, and I close the meeting at 3:23. Thank you very much for coming.